If you watch our videos in Social 118, you know that I'm trying not to impose my own belief system onto students. That what we're trying to do in this classroom, in this space right here, is to give students opportunities to think on their own terms and to understand the ways in which ideas and thoughts that come at them are often slanted in one direction or another. Our sponsor this semester, our very first sponsor, is Ground.News. It's the perfect sponsor for this class, and I'm really happy to endorse them, and I'm happy to get behind them. If you subscribe for Ground.News using the code in the description, the link in the description, you get 40% off the Vantage plan. That's the plan that we use in here. And I can't say enough how important this is and how valuable it is to have a better understanding of the ways in which news is coming at you and the ideological perspectives that people are taking who are sharing the news. So sign up for Ground.News. It's awesome. Like, I hope all of my students sign up for Ground.News, actually. So for 19, I've been teaching this class since 1991 in my second year here at Penn State. And that's what I look like when I started teaching Social 19. So it's pretty different today, I would say. And couple things about it, maybe, and about me. So I'm from Ohio, from Toledo, Ohio, and I grew up in a working class household, and grew up with a parent. My father died when I was 9, so that really shaped my life a lot. I mean, in ways that I don't really have any idea actually how it shaped my life, but because I don't know what it's like to have grown up with a father, but I'm fundamentally know that it shaped. As a sociologist, I can tell you that it shaped me. But one of the positive ways in which it shaped me was that I have a really kind of an independent way of being in the world, and so growing up without a father gave me a lot of independence, because my mom was working 3 jobs, and like we're working class, so I didn't have lots and lots of money, and I got to explore life on my own terms, which was pretty cool. And I think it's just kind of in my natural way of being in the world that I have a really deep curiosity. I have a childlike curiosity, meaning that I like to examine everything, and I don't come to many conclusions. For a while I did. In my first probably 20 years of teaching, I thought I had the answers to things. Because, like you go to college, and then, after college you'll have the experience where many of you will, I don't know, maybe none of you will, I don't know. I had the experience where I didn't really feel like I knew much. So then I went to graduate school, and then after graduate school, and between my master's and my PhD, it was like 9 years, and I then you start, after so much study, you start thinking that you know something, and if you don't know something, then you've failed as a graduate student. So I used to, when I first started teaching, I thought I had answers to things, but then as I continued into the world, and I met so many really brilliant people, and the most brilliant people who I met were the ones who felt like they didn't have answers to anything, and they had the most curious minds but no answers. They asked a lot of questions, but they could never respond to them. And so it took me about probably 15 years, maybe 20 years of teaching to realize how much more interesting it is to ask questions than to have answers. So anyway, when I was young, I was not a very good student because my mom was working all the time, and I didn't have anyone to tell me that I needed to study hard. And not only that, but I wasn't expected to go to college. Like, nobody around me went to college, and so I had fun. I was a musician. I played drums. I played rock and roll. I played in lots of bands from when I was really, really young. I had a fake ID when I was 16. I started driving when I was 15, a year before I was allowed to drive. Okay, I got a car and I was driving. So I was one of those kids, but I had my independent streak. And I used to skip class and I would go down to the library and read books, because that was really interesting to me, but school was really pretty boring. And it was boring because nobody seemed like they were asking questions. They were just telling me what I needed to think, to score, to pass exams and that kind of stuff. So anyway, I didn't take school seriously. When I took the ACT exam, anyway, to get into college, I scored in the 51st percentile, which was just 1 point above average, which was good for me. I just want to be above average. And but then, whatever. After 3 years in college, I almost dropped out, and then, I don't know, something clicked in me. Something clicked in my brain, man. I don't know what it was, but I just had the realization that I wanted to understand the world. And so I quit everything that I was doing, and I just took studying really seriously. Not getting A's and stuff, but studying, and then I've been doing that ever since. So, but the point being, when I started teaching, I used to I'd have notes with things on them and like PowerPoint slides, and I'd put like a PowerPoint up. Well, not when I first started because we didn't have PowerPoint, but you'd put slides up on an overhead, and then you would copy everything down, and then students, like in this class, and then I would read the next thing, and you would copy it down, and like, and then I would wait, and some people were slow at writing, so I'd have to wait. I mean, it was just like, because I thought what students needed was information, and my job was to give you information. And because, I'm the professor, and so that's what I do. But then I started to realize that I didn't have any information really worth giving. And secondly, one day I was teaching, I was right up here, I think I was sitting on the table, and I was in the middle of reading notes, and I almost fell asleep. Like, I literally almost fell asleep. And I went, oh, hell no, man, I can't. I'm not doing this anymore. So everything just shifted. And I realized that, especially in this class, because there are people here from all over the world and all sorts of backgrounds, the uber rich, the extreme poor, everything you can imagine, every demographic you can imagine is in this room. And then slowly I started realizing the magic, the awesomeness is here, not here. Because first off, I don't have anything to say anymore because whatever, I don't know. But you do, and so I really shifted how we do the class, and now the class is built around you, and not me. And my job is to ask questions. My job is to get volunteers from the class and bring you up. And then we have conversations, okay? And that makes it really interesting because, notice, by the way, well, I'm going to tell you in a couple seconds. You don't have to take notes in here. You don't have to do anything. You just have to sit, just like you're sitting, and enjoy yourselves. So that's how learning should be. Right? Am I right? Right? Fuck, I can't get A. I remember from my college years, I remember three things from my undergraduate years, 3 things. And I could tell you what they are, but they're 3 really meaningless factoids. And God, yeah, that's it, 3 things. And so like, oh man. Okay, so anyway, that's what, I was a hippie back in the day. I'm still a hippie, but I had that, look at that earring on my left ear, big like peace hoop earring. Imagine that freak coming in and teaching class. Anyway, but you can see I was also, I really was in my heart a rock and roller. So that was what it is. Okay, although I like all music. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, so listen, first thing is, this class, here's how we roll in this class, okay? It's basically a class in which if you want an A, you can get an A. All right, you really can. There's 3 exams. The exams are pretty easy. I'm going to explain it in a second, but if you study for them, they're really easy. You can get an A. Most people get A's, okay? But you have to do the work. If you don't do the work, if you don't jump through the hoops, you don't get the A. And so you don't know how to jump through the hoops unless you read the syllabus. And so since people don't read the syllabus, dude, right? Am I right on that? Do you read the syllabus carefully, cover to cover? Do you read them? This guy doesn't, right? A little bit? All right, well, listen. So what we do is we have a syllabus quiz, and we put the key things you need to know from the syllabus on the syllabus quiz. Not all of them, but most of them. And so it's worth 10 points. So if you don't do the syllabus quiz, you already go from an A to an A minus. All right, so you do it. It's easy. Many of you have already done it. All right, so let's go to the next slide. Attendance, this is the most important thing. Y'all, you ready? Attendance is an assignment. We have 3 points. There's 180 points in the class. 3 are connected to your attendance every single day. Never, ever, under any circumstances, did you miss class, for example. Be like, I was sick, here's my doctor's excuse, and we're going to give you 3 points. Like, we're never going to give you 3 points. Maybe if your beloved family dog dies, if it's a Portuguese water dog, I might just give you 3 points because you missed class because you had to bury your dog. But only if you buried your dog yourself. If you dropped your dog off at the vet and was like, hey, man, put my dog down, like, nah, I wouldn't do it. That would be the only way. So you have to have a Portuguese water dog, your dog has to die, and you have to bury your dog yourself, and then I'll give you 3 points for missing class. Otherwise, you got to come to class, okay? Now, if you don't come to class, then you got to get those 3 points, okay? That means you have to watch the video, and then you have to submit this assignment, which is 3 short 3-minute videos that you upload. And you can't use AI, and you can't all these things. You know, you're going to read the syllabus. It's going to explain it, and we'll explain it a little more later. This week, it doesn't matter because we're not doing attendance this week. But the idea is attendance is an assignment. And if you miss class and you have to make the videos up, you only have 1 week to do it. You can't, like, wait to the end of the semester. So you have to stay up on things, okay? So is that really clear? Attendance is an assignment. Because what happens is people start missing class, and they're like, oh, can I make up all the old videos that I missed? I'm like, nah, you can't. But lucky for you, C's earn degrees, and so you'll get a C in here, and you'll still get your degree, and that's pretty awesome. All right? Have you ever heard that before, C's earn degrees? Okay. You don't believe it, though, yourself, right? You don't live by that? Yeah, okay. I live by that. All right, so my life is, my GPA in high school, I think, was 2.27. And my undergrad GPA was 2.9, which I had to work. I almost flunked out, but then when I turned things around, I got it up a little bit. 2.9. And the 51st percentile. Look at me. See, for some of you, there's hope. You know what I mean? You might have a real job one day with a 2.9 GPA or whatever. All right, so attendance is an assignment. So we get that, right? So you just plan to come to class. If you're in the web section, section 2, you can still come to class. It's easier because the way we're going to do an attendance is as an assignment. It's just a Canvas. You got to get online and do a Canvas quiz, and you get your 1.5 points at the beginning of class and 1.5 points at the end of class. Okay? Cool? Pretty straightforward. It's a lot easier than doing the 9 minutes of videos that you have to submit. So, all right, let's go to the next. All right, here, let me tell you about the exams. The only place where it's questionable about whether you may or may not get an A in this class is with the exams, because they are exams, okay? But each one is about 5 hours of preparation, and which you have to do. You can't guess. Like, you can't skim the readings or skim the videos, scroll through the videos. You just won't. You won't. The questions are really easy, but you will not do well in the exams, which is still okay because C's are in degrees, bro, okay? So, but here, I want to tell you something, though, which is really, I think, valuable for you all to know, okay? So, in other words, there's 3 exams. It's a total of 15 hours of reading and watching videos. That's it. And then you're good to go, okay? And it's interesting stuff. It's not like textbook stuff. It's interesting. Okay, in fall of 23, the median was 82%, as you can see there. 82%, which is like, and the reason it was low was because back then, I didn't like hold people's hands and be like, okay, we're 2 weeks away from the exam, y'all. What that means is you need to plan it out. And I was just like, hey, the exam's next class. Good luck. Read the syllabus. Figure it out, you know. And so 82%. Then I started to remind people, hey, the exam's coming, you know. And it went up to 88%. Last semester, I was like, hey, man, we're 3 weeks out. We're 2 weeks out. You know how to do this. Make sure you hold it down. You got 5 hours scheduled in your calendar. Make sure you do that. We're good to go. 91% was the median. That means half the class scored above 91% on the exam. And all those people, presumably, yeah, okay, 91%, that's pretty high for an exam. That shows you how the exams aren't particularly difficult if you do the work, which is what I want you to do. But here's the thing for your generation, my friends. Far more people last semester than ever did really poorly on the exams and in class. It's like COVID did something to you all, to your generation, right? People who were in like 8th grade, 9th grade during COVID or something, right? COVID did something. And maybe 9th or 10th, I don't know how old you were, whatever. And there's far more of you that are just kind of hanging on. And when I say hanging on, that's not a judgment, but it's an assessment of a professor who's been working with people of your age for 43 years. And in this classroom, and not a lot changes in this classroom, so I get to see things over and over again. There's far more of you who are just barely holding on, man. You're not coming to class, you just can't do what you need to do. And so there's many more people got D's and F's last semester than even the year before in this class. And what that tells me is there's something about, it's not your phones, it's not the phones, that hasn't changed really, but it's something about COVID. So, but that's my message to you. If you're one of those people, you're really hanging on and you're wondering, why am I here? What am I doing here? What's the purpose of being, of my life? I don't know, like the whole 9 yards. If you're one of those folks, you're not alone. There are more and more of you. There are a much larger number, okay? And that's a sociological assessment that I think has value. Okay, so that's just a PSA, a public service announcement to you. Okay? All right, let's see. All right, next slide. Laptops. No laptops ever, man. So I know a few of you had laptops open, but like you don't need to have laptops because you're not taking notes in here, and you can't do things for other classes. Like you can't be studying for it. You can't be watching. We're going to get to, in March, we're going to hit March Madness. You'd be watching like, when's the World Cup's not till the summer, so we're good there. But it's like FIFA game. I don't know. You just can't. You just don't. Just put your laptops away. Phones, same thing with phones. Like, just don't. It's like, so you can just close your laptops, right? Yeah, just close them. Man. And once we start class, once your classmates start coming up here, you'll be entertained. So you don't have to really, the laptop, and you will notice I will see laptops open, and I'll be like, yo, your laptop's open. That Mac? Yeah, exactly. I'll just stop people right in the middle of class and be like, yo, close the laptop. I can't see if you're looking at your phone, but so anyway, so we got that. Is that good? All right. How about what's the next slide? Okay, so let me walk you through the class here, how we operate. First off, this is Darniesha. Darniesha's in charge of the live stream and everything that happens inside of the classroom. Darniesha. Dude, come on, man. That's the first time ever you didn't pick up a microphone.
I wasn't sure if you wanted me to.
Well, and also Darniesha is in charge of World in Conversation, which is an assignment. When you read the syllabus, you'll see what that is. But you're running the stream, and you're in charge of all the other TAs. And
yeah, so there's Sam teaching the class, and then there's me running the class, running around, looking upset, trying to fix problems as they happen. I promise you, if you have a question, I'll answer it. Just give me a second, because I'm usually doing like 2 or 3 things at the same time. But I'm in charge of teaching the kids that you see on cameras, and there's some more in the back. We have the TAs up at the back too that I'm in charge of, so please be a little patient if you try and catch me to ask a question, because I'm usually in the middle of doing something.
In other words, Darniesha's in charge. I'm just here. I don't know what I'm here. I'm here doing whatever I do, but she's really in charge. So that's who you want. In your next class, you're going to meet Julie, who's in the course manager, who you're going to communicate with.
Julie's my boss.
Julie's my boss, actually.
Whatever Julie says goes. So if you ask me a question, I refer you to Julie. She's the end all be all. Like, there's nothing more you can get.
Okay.
There's nothing better you can get.
So are we good there? So questions is really, you can ask me, but I probably won't. Why? Because I didn't read the syllabus. So I don't know, what would I know? But I'm going to take the syllabus quiz before the end of the semester. I'll figure it out. All right. So thank you, Darniesha. Gracias. Okay, so here's how we work. Hey, by the way, the gentleman over here with the camera is Harry. Harry's the class photographer. So we're just... Harry's awesome. I'm not going to say he's the best photographer we've ever had in Social 118, because we've had a lot of really good photographers, and they might be watching the live stream. If they are, or they might watch a video. If they are, turn the volume down. And I want to say, that dude's the best photographer we've ever had. He's taking some killer photos. So what we try to do, what we do is everybody who comes up to volunteer gets we take photos of you. So if you volunteer and you want photos, and we always try to take, he always takes some photos from behind so you can see you're volunteering, you're talking to the class, and it's cool. You get some really cool photos. So keep that in mind. We haven't figured out, how to make them accessible, because we don't want to make them accessible to the public. Because we also take photos of people in class, and we don't want the whole world to have those. Some of you don't want your photos taken. So, we'll work on it. But if you do volunteer and you want to get a photo of yourself, talk to Harry. He'll make sure you get it, okay? All right, anyway, so that's it right here, man, okay? There's a photo. Harry didn't take that photo, by the way, but I just like it a lot because I'm shilling for Konkuk, because I'm also a professor at Konkuk University in Korea. But go to the next slide. Okay, but here's one. This is one from last semester. You see, people are coming up here, and we're having conversations, and I'm asking them questions about topics. And when you volunteer, you don't know what the topic's going to be. Once in a while, I'll tell you. You may ask me, and I might feel like, okay, I can tell you kind of the general topic, but I'm not going to tell you ahead of time what the topic is, because it doesn't matter what the topic is, because you don't need to know anything in order to volunteer. What you need to know is what you already know. It's something about your own life and your own experience, okay? And volunteering is never, ever about gotcha moments, and about the last thing I want for someone who volunteers in this class is for someone to feel embarrassed or ashamed, or as though it was a problem. Like, that's the worst thing in the world, okay? Because that means that other people won't want to volunteer. And if you don't volunteer, then we don't have a class. Like, you know what? Then you got to listen to me. And if I put myself to sleep, trust me, I'll put you to sleep as well, eventually, okay? So you don't have to worry about misspeaking. You don't have to worry if I ask you a question and you're just like, man, I don't even know how to answer that question. That's really complicated. And I'll simplify. I'll change it. I'll simplify it. But you'll never be in a position. I can't say never, but man, I worked so hard that you would be in a position where you'd feel some kind of way. So if you're a person who's shy and you're like, oh man, I'm really shy. I don't know if I want to be in front of this many people. It's like, well, it's a good opportunity. Let me know if you want to do it, but you're really shy. I could find a time for you to volunteer where you wouldn't have to speak a lot, okay? Which is kind of cool. And some of you have outgoing personalities, so it's really easy for you. Okay, next slide. Here's another one. We do it different ways. That's my wife, actually, in that one. That was a pretty cool class that we did. So we do lots of different things, different sort of arrangements of things. Next one. Hey, Layla, there you are, man. That's a cool photo of you. That was last semester. Layla here, who I'll introduce later, but was talking on the mic from their seat. So sometimes Harry will get a shot of you talking, but you know, okay, is that cool? It's fun. And then, of course, we live stream. We're live streaming right now. If you go to the next slide. The next class, by the way, it's going to be called That's Cheating. We're going to talk about cheating, whatever that is. I don't know what it is, but so keep that in mind. Wait, hang on. Let me see. Okay, go to the next slide. Now, there's a form that you fill out. You go to social118.org. That's the class website, and that's where you find. First off, we're in Canvas, and we're also in social118.org. That's where we keep everything. We update both things on a regular basis. But at the top, you'll see a tab that says Get Involved, and there's you click on that, and you'll see the link to volunteer. You can do it here. I'll put it up at the end of class also. But it's just a form that you fill out, and you give us the permission to film you. And, you know, it's the video. We have the video. It's up on our channel. If you volunteer and you say something that you, last semester, for example, we had 2 different times when somebody just said two different people said one tiny thing that they were just like, I don't want that on a video. I don't want that to live on YouTube forever. And we pulled it out. It's fine. So, but 2 times all semester. Okay, that doesn't happen very often. So, anyway, so we'll put this up later. But we would like for you to start volunteering, because I'm gonna start picking people for next class on Thursday morning. I'll start reaching out to people. I send a text message to you on your cell phone, so we need your mobile phone, and you'll get a text message from me saying like, hey, do you want to volunteer today? And then we go from there. Okay? That's how it works. So it's fun. All right, next. Okay, the stream. So we are streaming right now, okay? And people watch the stream from both in the U.S. and other countries. Maybe, Jeff, at some point, this is Jeff, who's in charge of the stream and all the videos. And is there anything we need to say about the stream?
Matt from Italy said that even though you gave the excuse on how you could potentially get out of class, it doesn't mean you should do that to get out of class. So don't kill your Portuguese water dog just to skip class.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, all right. Yeah. See, Italians would say that. All right. I would think you only say that about Italian water dogs, but okay. Okay, it's the same. It's the same. They're cousins, right? Anyway, that's how you get to the stream. And if you go to the website, you'll see when you miss a class, of course, you got to go to YouTube and you got to find the class that you missed. And that's all it's very, come on, man, you grew up at the web. It's easy, right? So you'll figure it out. All right. let's go to let me show you a couple of things. Next slide. So people, I'm only going to tell you, by the way, I want to say this to you. The reason we first started live streaming was simply because we were making videos for the class, for the online version of the class. And one day we decided, hey, let's live edit the videos. And so we'll just not have to pull down all the footage and make videos. We just live edit it. At the end of class, we'll have videos. And one day, my one TA hit go live button on YouTube because we were using YouTube to live edit. And people started watching. And we're like, okay, let's just do that, right? And so that's how we ended up live streaming. And now, it's a thing that we're rocking and rolling with, okay? So, but it is important that you understand that it's not important that you understand. It's a cool opportunity. People watch, and the reason they watch this class is because people do not put cameras inside of college classrooms. So therefore, people who are not inside of college classrooms do not know what people your age are thinking about issues in the world, especially the issues that we talk about in this class. Race, ethnicity, culture, gender, class, all of these things. They think that they know, but they don't know. And people are really happy to be able to get a window into what's going on in your lives and how you are thinking. And so they're also really happy with me and with Penn State that we put these cameras in here so they can hear what you think. And I will tell you, if I had $5 for every email or that I've received or comment that I received from somebody who I meet somewhere in the world and who I encounter, who says, if I have $5 for everyone who said, I feel after watching students in your class, I have more hope. I feel like I have hope. Because people my age in particular, they don't feel really positive about your generation, man. Like they're like, dude, these young people today, like, oh my God. And you can't imagine that, but when you get to be my age, you'll find yourself going, young people today. But they don't, because what they find is what I find. And that's that when you put a microphone, when you give you a mic and we ask you questions, you're very thoughtful and you say really interesting things. And so people want to hear that, and that's pretty cool. So that's why people around the world are watching. Okay, is that cool? That's pretty cool, right? Dude, is that cool? You want to have hope, man, especially in these times. I'm not going to, and by the way, the classes, people from across the political spectrum watch. There are lots and lots of, more recently, lots and lots of many more conservative people have started to subscribe, I would say, in the past couple of years. Lots of MAGA folks are really fascinated by how you're thinking and give kudos out to you all, right? Lots of people on the left, people on the extreme left also watch, so that's a pretty cool thing. So you get an assessment from people across the political spectrum. All right, man. And by the way, North Korea, probably people in North Korea have watched Social 19, at least videos. So, all right, man. Go to the next slide. Our lifetime like ratio is 94.6. That means when people decide to hit either like or dislike, 94.6% of the time they hit like. And that's because of you. It's not because of me. It's because of you. Not you, because you haven't been part of this yet. But once we get going, that's because of you. That's really awesome. Okay. Next one. Last semester, our most viewed video, we did a class on Charlie Kirk the day after he was killed, and it generated about 15 million views. So, I mean, we have lots that, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions, whatever, but that was the one that really, really, really took off. Did you know that, by the way? Layla was up here on the desk. She was one of the 4 volunteers that day. And yeah, dude, so that's like 15 million people have seen you and heard from you, all right? That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's awesome, man. Okay, next one. The video, we did this video about Bad Bunny. It was on Instagram. That's got the most views. It was very funny, actually. Because what it was, I won't say what it was. It doesn't really matter, but it was a cool video. It was a kind of a funny video. And it went viral, in particular over in India. It went viral for reasons like, whatever. Yeah, that's funny. Okay, so you don't know what will happen, okay? Is that cool? It's fun. But we watch videos, we're careful about videos. We're not trying to get likes. We're not trying to we don't do gotcha, what is it? Like clickbait titles. We don't do that. I mean, if we did clickbait titles, we could triple our views in a heartbeat, but we don't do that. Okay, other people do. Other people take the footage and they make clickbait titles, but we don't. So it's cool, man. It's honorable. It feels really, really awesome. Okay, do we have one more? No, we don't. Okay, you can just blacken the screen now, and then let's do this. Are there any quick questions that anyone wants to ask? Yes? Yeah, the way these volunteers get chosen. So what happens is when you fill out the form, the volunteer form, it populates a spreadsheet that I have access to, Julie and I have access to, and then depending on the topic, I'll go down and we ask you, like, what's your citizenship? How many languages do you speak? Questions about your religion, gender, class, just different things, And then a notes section. The final thing is notes. Just tell us something interesting about you. And people do you never know what you're going to write in there, but I'll just be like, oh man, okay, that's cool, right? Okay, let's do that. We had a woman in class a couple years ago. She was CODA, child of a deaf adult, and she was CODA in there. Anybody, are there any CODA people? Anybody's CODA in here? Anyone have parents who are deaf? Anyway, okay. But I saw that, and I texted her. I'm like, hey, would one of your parents be interested in coming to class? And she said, yeah, my dad would. My dad. I'm like, does he have a sense of humor? Or is he? Because he's 100% deaf. She's like, oh, yeah, man, my dad. I'm like, okay, cool. So her dad was coming up to pick her up. So her dad came in, and there were 3 volunteers. They didn't know her dad was deaf. So she signed for him, right? And then they had to get him to agree to let them go out on a date with her, okay? And she was from Pakistan, and he was from Pakistan. So, they're, in this conversation with him. Imagine this, right? They're in this conversation with him, but he's not responding. He's looking to her, because she's signing for him. And they were just so confused. Whoa, what the fuck? And eventually they figured it out. And then we had this really cool conversation. And the cool piece of the conversation was that they got to have a conversation of someone who could not hear them. So who either would read lips or have to look to somebody else to sign. And do you know how wild that is? How cool that is to have that opportunity? Because if you ever, how many people have friends or family members who are 100% deaf? Who's got it? So you know what I mean, right? It's strange until you get used to it, and then you're like, oh, okay, I got it. So sometimes we do stuff like that in here, which is pretty cool, man. Her father loved it. It was a great teaching opportunity for the whole class, All right, Matt. Wait, what did I say? Anyway, did I answer your question? That's how we do it, okay? All right, Matt. Let's do this. Let's simulate something. We got half hour. So let's get 3 volunteers. So hang on. You don't even know what I'm going to ask. Oh my God. Okay, so first one is somebody who hunts. Someone who hunts for food. Who's a gun person? Hey, dude, for food? All right, man, come on. Wait, do you want to volunteer? All right, come on, man. All right. And then Someone who's a vegetarian or vegan for ethical reasons, not for health reasons. Vegetarian or vegan for health reasons, like you don't eat meat at all. Dude, wait, hang on. Wait. Yeah, you don't eat any meat? Okay. All right. And then somebody, okay, you're American, you're from the US? You're from the US? Okay, you can come up. Somebody who's not from the US who just eats meat, regular, just you love meat, you eat meat, you don't hunt, you don't. Is that you, bro? You're a meat eating fiend? Where are you from? From Saudi? Okay. All right. Wait. Let me not have you, okay? Yeah, because it's gonna. No, it's cool. No, because it's gonna take us into some direction which is a cool direction, but I don't want to go there. How about somebody else from some other country you eat a lot of meat? No, come on, somebody. Like who's got it? Eat meat? Any meat? All right, okay, come on. All right, let's go. Actually, I wonder if we should do chair. You know what? Let's do chairs. Why don't you guys? Yeah. Okay. Because you guys can kind of sit in a half circle. Here, why don't you sit? Why don't you sort of turn this way and face her? Actually, you know what? You should be in the middle because you're the killer, right? Dude, by the way, when I say stuff like that, dude, you get
You're right.
Yeah, I am right. Yeah, okay. Well, we all kill too. Like, you kill. Do you not when you walk? Do you step on insects and stuff? Yeah. Okay. So you're a killer also. We're all killers. My God. Okay. So wait, we need the. Do you all have microphones? Wait. All right. By the way, microphones, let me explain this. You turn it on and just immediately it goes on and hold it close to your mouth because you may hear yourself down here, but you won't hear it up there. So let's start with you, your name.
I'm Megan.
And usually we'll ask you, okay, what's your name and your major and where are you from kind of thing.
My major is media studies and communications, and I'm from State College.
And what year are you?
A junior.
Junior? Okay.
I'm Jesse. I'm from Carlisle, PA. I'm a cybersecurity major, and I'm also a junior.
Uh-huh.
My name is Nyanga. I live in Georgia, but I was born in Sierra Leone. I've lived there till I was 15.
In Sierra Leone?
Yeah. And I'm a first year.
First year? All right, awesome, man. So first off, I want the two of you to get information from this guy. Like, what do you need to know about this guy right here? Just you can ask him any questions you want. I'm going to let you ask him the questions.
Questions specifically about hunting?
About hunting.
Okay.
About murdering animals. About eating, well, the whole thing, everything. What do you need to know from this guy? Wait, first off, have you ever been hunting?
No.
You ever shot a gun?
No.
Oh, dude, you got everything right here. You ever shot a gun? Yeah. Okay, all right.
I guess my question that I wonder a lot is, like, why do you hunt? Like, why do you like hunting?
For me, it wasn't really something that I decided to do. It was more of my dad grew up doing it, and when I was old enough, I took a junior hunter course, what you have to do to be able to hunt by yourself. And then went out to my grandparents' farm and just started hunting. Did it for a lot of years, but kind of stopped when I came to college just because I didn't have the time anymore.
Like, did you grow to enjoy it? Because you said, like, it wasn't something you really want.
Yeah, I always enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy the cold when I was younger, but I'm sure nobody enjoys the cold that much. But yeah, I enjoyed being out in the woods, just hunting, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Do you always eat what you kill?
Yes, I actually have like probably 7 pounds of deer meat in my freezer right now.
Dude, go ahead. What else you got for him?
Do you only hunt deer?
I went pheasant hunting once. That was fun. I also fish, but not really the same thing.
How about this? I want to know when I look at this guy. When you're a vegan. What question do you have for her?
Why vegan and not just vegetarian?
I'm actually vegetarian.
Oh, you're vegetarian.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, you're vegetarian.
Well, I'm vegetarian just because like I don't like killing animals. I think it's like very inhumane, and you can get a lot of protein and the nutrients that you need from other food.
Was there like something, like, has this always been a thing, or is there something where you just watched something, saw something, and then you stopped eating meat?
So I fully became vegetarian in I think in 6th grade. And it was mainly just because it just really grossed me out. I can't, just knowing where it comes from has always grossed me out, but my parents are meat eaters, so they kind of made me eat meat as a kid, and I never liked it, so. My
sister's actually vegetarian, and she stopped eating meat because of the movie Ferdinand with the John Cena bull. We went to the trip to New York when I was younger, and just in the middle of one meal, randomly, she's like, "I'm not eating meat anymore."
Oh, that's wild. Do you, hey, by the way, normally I'm the one asking lots of questions, but this is just because I just want to see where it goes. This is a different kind of thing. What questions do you, wait, what's Megan? Jesse? Yanga? Wait, hang on. Say it in the microphone and then I'll. Nyanga, with an N. Nyanga. Okay. Hey, by the way, you should know something. So, because I was a drummer, I was young and I was stupid. I mean, I'm stupid in middle-aged and older age too, but when I was young, I was also not very smart, and I didn't wear ear protection. So I have a lot of hearing damage and I have tinnitus. So I wear an earpiece in my ear so I can hear directly from the microphones. I mean, I can hear okay. I wear hearing aids and it's fine, but I have to. But a lot of times like that, if I ask you multiple times for something, don't feel embarrassed or something, right? Because I'm just trying to adjust things and so on, okay? Okay, questions do you have for her? You eat factory farm meat, man. You just eat it all.
I really don't care. It's it's good. I couldn't live without it, so.
Would you prefer organic over just store brand, any kind of meat?
No. It's just, I guess it's easy access, so I couldn't necessarily say that I would prefer one or the other. It's just whatever. Yeah.
Do you think it's ethical to eat the meat that you do?
I mean, probably not. If you think about it in the way of a lot of people who are vegan or vegetarian, where they feel you're taking a life away. But again, it's good. So it's more of if you care. I used to care when I was younger. I would every time, because I watched a video in one of my classes of how chicken nuggets were made. And we watched the chicken farms, and that grossed me out for a little bit, and then I went right back. So.
Do you think that there would ever be a time that you could give up meat fully?
Yeah, I do. I think that if a situation happened where it was bad for my health or wouldn't necessarily be the best option, it's not accessible or anything like that, I definitely would. But until that situation is here.
So hunting, I would assume you don't like. Do you also not like fishing? Is there is one worse than the other?
I mean, yeah, I'm not really big into either. I think fishing is in my opinion, I think a lot of people that fish, they just put the fish back in the lake or wherever they get it from. it still kind of like sucks because like I feel like you're hurting them because they're like getting hooked. But yeah, I just don't really like either. I just don't like.
Wait, but do you eat fish? No. You don't eat fish either. Ah. Well, can I go back to the factory farm? I'm curious about you, Nyanga. You saw how chicken McNuggets were made. And for a hot minute, you're like, oh my God, I can't do that. And then here you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think I felt more bad for them because we like watched them like just walking around in like a really small area. There was feces everywhere. And I was like, oh, that's gross. That's sad.
Sorry. Do you think that like, do you feel that animals like have feelings like, and that like, I don't know, because I also saw a video like that too in like, I don't even know, like human geography or something in like high school, and like just the conditions, it like made my like heart kind of like drop. But like, do you feel that they like have feelings that are worth like not killing them over?
I think obviously all animals and like that exist have feelings. They have emotions. They have brain function. So I think that is like a consideration. And I do think when you choose to eat meat, you have some people don't think about that. Which obviously, me watching that video,
wait. You don't think about that anymore. You did for a minute.
Yeah. When I watched the video, I thought about that, but. I feel like it's whether you're willing to give it up or not. Like, I feel like it's whether it's a big of a deal to you that you are hurting something, or if it's in your brain consistently. For some people, I know, like for me, for that like 2 weeks, I didn't eat meat because I felt really bad. But then the thought went away from my brain. So I feel like if I was watching those videos consistently, I might it might have been like a stronger feeling to go more than 2 weeks, but that was the one time I ever watched that video. And so unless the topic is brought back up, I never think of that video.
All right, so I have a question for you. How different is that from somebody who watches ICE arrest somebody, pull them out of their car and arrest them and take them away? And you watch the video and you're like, oh my God, that's so horrible, oh my God. And then you don't watch a video for another 2 or 3 weeks and you're like, well, okay, whatever.
I think it's a little different because
a little different or a lot of different?
A lot, I guess. But like, I feel like with the eye situation, like I personally know a lot of people who are like in fear of their life.
Yeah.
And so I feel like because it's something that's happening to people that of our own species, people feel like more attached to it because it's like that could be you, and it's happening to people who aren't just undocumented or international. It's happening to also U.S. citizens. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that allows you to be more attached to it. And for me, every other video I scroll on TikTok is about ICE. So I have more exposure to it.
Yeah.
And it's probably because I've like curated my feed that way.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so if you only watched one, and then you didn't watch another one for a couple of weeks, you'd be like, oh, okay, I forget about that. Let me go back to, can we go to McDonald's and get some chicken McNuggets, with some sauce? Yeah. No, I'm just throwing that out as curiosity because that's, by the way, that's what this class is, right? We want to ask those kinds of questions. So I think your response as to how it's different is a good response. I could keep pushing now because it's like, it's not necessarily good enough because I'm not sure how different it is. But okay, let's keep going, right, bro? I want to know from this guy what it's like to kill an animal, man.
Yeah, wait, do you like feel anything? Like, does it feel a certain way, or is it kind of just like oh, I'm just doing that?
So I was hunting for many years before I even got a chance to shoot my gun. So when I first started hunting, it was me and my dad, and I would just sit in the stand while he hunted. And then eventually when I think it's like 13 is the year where you can start hunting on your own. I got my own gun. I got set up we do tree stand hunting. So I got set up in my own tree stand, and for another couple years after that, still never had the opportunity. I think it was around 15, rifle season. I don't do archery. Heard a deer come riding down, and honestly, it was never really something that I thought about, because every hunting season you have to sight in your rifle. So you've already shot it, you already have it dialed in, you don't have to adjust the scope or anything like that. At the time, I was still young enough, and even now, you know that you are about to kill an animal, but it's the same way of, if you see an ant and you step on an ant, you're still killing the ant. I mean, I would think that a deer is probably more personable, just because it's a bigger, fluffier creature with eyes and a mouth, nose,
and a mammal,
kids.
right?
Yes.
You talked about the same species, but it's. What was it like that moment when you saw it go down, man?
Well, the first one that I actually got, it didn't go down right away. Shot it, it ran off. And then it turned up later once we tracked it down. But the second time when I did actually see it, front of the herd, popped it, shot up, fell down. That was it. Usually when you do go hunting, you have to stay in the tree stand even well after you shot anything, just to see if more come by, because you have a certain amount of tags you can use. So you can get like 2 to 3 doe, 1 or 2 buck like each year. So I think it was about 2-3 hours before I even came down in the stands with the deer sitting over 50 yards away, maybe.
Does that not feel very like violent to you?
Not really, no. I mean, can I ask you a question? Yeah. Is the reason you don't like people eating meat because we can live off of other things? Like, say, do you have a problem with like other predators eating other animals simply because that's just how they live?
Well, I don't really have a problem with like other people eating meat. It's mainly just like a personal choice. I'm not really like the type of vegetarian to like force it onto other people. But yeah, like I don't know, I think it's obviously with other animals, like it's like a predator and prey situation, but you know, for us there is like a lot of other things that we can eat. But yeah.
For me, it doesn't affect me as much because I do eat whatever I hunt down. I'm sure
you eat what you kill.
Yes, I eat what I kill.
You can use the word kill. I think it's important. Listen, here, let me just say that. I think it's really important, especially Younga, because you're eating all sorts of meat, but you're not killing it. And I'm feeling that, right? Do you feel that? Like, that feels, yeah, I don't know.
You definitely feel more responsible when you are cooking a meal with the meat that you killed.
Yeah, what do you mean responsible? Yeah.
You know where you came from. You know that you saw it, what it was like before it turned into ground meat. So I can't remember what I was thinking when I first ate it, but I remember dragging the body, I remember gutting the deer itself, and I remember all these different things about actually going hunting, and then I enjoyed the meal afterwards.
When you say, ask him about gutting the deer. You need to hear this, all right? Gutting the deer.
What is gunning the deer?
Get graphic.
You are gutting the deer.
Oh, like.
So you are cutting into its stomach, pulling out all of its innards, cleaning it, and then we don't do the butchering ourselves, so we take it to a butcher, but we do gut our deer.
I will say I can see how it's easier to become a vegan if you're in the situation.
It smells really bad.
A vegetarian if you're killing the animal. Like, because I feel like if I ever killed an animal, that would cause me to become like vegan or vegetarian. Like, do you not like kind of feel
I think it's
gross?
different between like shooting a dog or shooting a deer, because when you go out hunting, at least in my case, you go out hunting with the intention of, if you kill something, you're going to eat it. That is the intention. I wouldn't ever hunt for sport, just to go out and start shooting just for fun. I know people that do that. That's not something I would ever do.
So I would think for you would think this guy going out and killing his own meat, you would hold him on a pedestal in a way.
No, not particularly. I feel like for me that would gross me out if I actually had to go kill an animal for food.
But you let other people kill the animal.
Yeah, for sure.
But that would.
But it's not me. I don't have to see it happening. I'm not the one doing it.
But
hold on. If you knew that your food came from pasture, open field beef, would you prefer that over raised in a concrete floor, solitary barn with no windows? Or does it not matter?
It doesn't really matter.
Oh, man. Okay, this is a moment of deep ethical challenge here, you see? This is big. Because you're saying, hey, I can let all these animals suffer out here in these factory farms and so on. As long as I don't see it, it's okay. But God forbid should I actually see it. Because if you went to a factory farm, it wouldn't be like watching a video. You'd be like, oh, man, what he just said. And you don't see it, let other people go through all the suffering, and then you just go and pick up this plastic wrap piece of slab, I don't know, flesh, and put it on the grill and cook it up with a little sauce and make some tacos or whatever,
Well, I also think because I've never eaten anything that doesn't have meat. Everything I eat has meat, when it comes to substance of food. And so I feel I've never been aware of this food comes from here, this food comes from here. I've just eaten what I've been fed, and so I feel I've become desensitized to it in a way.
Let me ask you this. Would you ever go hunting? If you had the opportunity, if he said, hey, just come out with us, how come?
I can't kill an animal, but someone else can kill an
No,
animal.
let's say that you went with him. He said, yeah, no, you can come with us and you can watch me, because you could pretend you're going to the supermarket,
but
right?
I would have to watch him.
Nah, but you could turn away. And then he's the butcher from behind, the back behind the counter in the supermarket, and he goes and he gets the piece of meat, and he comes and he guts it. You can turn away, and then he cuts a piece out and he gives it to you.
But in that situation, I'm there. I'm aware of what's happening. It's happening right in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm
that's the point.
I know, it's probably still the same, and I would probably eat it if I didn't know he was, if he gave me something he hunted.
What if he pulled some deer meat? Bro, you have deer meat in your fridge up here?
A lot.
Why don't you bring some for her?
If I didn't know he hunted and he gave me...
No, he hunted it. How about if he brings you some deer meat?
Actually, this year I didn't hunt it. This
it?
was what my dad shot.
Yeah, his dad shot it. And he can bring it to you. It's frozen, right? It's frozen. And you can cook it. You eat meat every day. So you could cook it, take some video of you cooking it, and then we'll play it in class.
Is it more of just out of sight, out of mind? If you don't have to think about it, you don't have to worry about it?
Yeah.
Dude, that's exactly why there are a lot of people who, you're watching ICE videos, they're not watching ICE videos. They're not paying attention, doesn't matter. It's ICE is picking people up, whatever, it's irrelevant.
I think people do have a really short memory when it comes to stuff like this, though. Because, I think it was at the start of last year, we were seeing a whole lot of news about, a whole bunch of different planes crashing. Every couple of days we were hearing about a new plane crash. And then, 2 weeks after that, they stopped reporting it and everybody forgot about it.
Yeah. Hey, somebody else, who's got a question that they want to ask somebody? Here. Dude.
Hello.
Welcome back, my friend. That's Dej, by the way. All right.
All right, so my question is for the hunter. Sorry, I didn't get your name. So there's people who hunt like you, and they eat the meat they hunt. There's people who hunt, say, like coyotes, and it usually just goes to waste, and they're hunting for the sake of killing something.
Or they're hunting because the coyotes are killing their sheep.
Yes,
Or
yes.
that, but there are also people who shoot them from helicopters for fun. What about people that, say, like my uncle, for example, he'll take a trip to Montana from Pennsylvania, go hunting there for deer, and he donates the meat. He doesn't feel like shipping it all the way back, but he'll donate it so someone eats it. Would you say that's the same as hunting for yourself to eat it, or somewhere between sport hunting and hunting for yourself?
When I think of sport hunting, I think of just going out shooting more than what you could ever use or donate and not caring about the rest. Personally, if I were to hunt, sometimes there's extra meat that we do give away. I don't see a difference in what your example is and what that is. I don't see a problem with it either. It'd be just like a farmer slaughtering his own cattle and then selling the meat to a grocery market.
Yeah.
Agree with that.
Next.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, you could just leave the volume on, yeah.
All right.
Hey, maybe you could stand up, actually. It would be good.
Okay.
Can you put him, by the way, Niche in the back, can you put him on the big screen? All right, go ahead, bro.
My name's Hatan. My question is to Yanga. Is the hunting not a lot more ethical, actually, in that he goes out, he's a certified licensed hunter, he has a limit on how much he can kill, and he actually treats it with respect in comparison to these like meat factories? Because to me, and I don't mean to try and make an attack, but I feel like that out of sight, out of mind mindset is used to justify a lot of like real like human suffering as well.
Yeah.
I would say maybe hunting would be considered more ethical, and I feel like if I went to like, because I don't know how the like hunting thing is when you donate it, whether like the people know like it was hunted down or whatever, but even when I go to the grocery store to get meat, I'm not sitting there being like, oh, if this is hunted, I'm not eating it. If this is pasture raised, I'm not eating it. So like, because I guess that's not a thought, but I do think for a lot of like people, the out of sight, out of mind, like way of thinking is like kind of the reason why we're in a lot of situations where like a lot of things don't have awareness because people are like, oh, I'm not seeing this, so I don't really care.
What's something that's really important to you in the world? Like something that you stand behind, like the world needs to do something about this. Like children in refugee camps? I don't know, what do you have? What's something that you feel is it, when you hear about it, you're like, oh my God, how can we allow this to happen? The Russians bombing Ukraine?
Yeah, definitely that.
Okay, hang on, let's just stop right there.
Yeah.
Russians bombing Ukraine.
Yeah.
Who has no idea that the Russians are bombing Ukraine and you don't know anything about the issue? You know nothing about it. Like really, there's a guy right there in the white shirt. Raise your hand higher, bro. That guy. So
have you just not seen any like videos? Are you like, does your TikTok not like show you? Like, why don't you know about it? Oh,
Yeah.
you don't pay attention to
Hey,
it.
it's not paying attention.
Yeah, I
Just
mean that's
like-
how I am with me.
Exactly.
Yeah, so
Bro, so you're just not paying attention. You don't know anything.
Pretty much, yeah.
So Russia's a country, Ukraine's a country. At least you think. I don't know. Like you hearing these names and whatever. Kind of that.
Yeah, I think bombing's that's probably bad, but that's about as far as it goes for me. Probably
Yeah,
shouldn't do
well,
that.
that's life, man. What's really? Do you have something that's really, really important to you?
I mean, yeah, that and like Palestine.
Okay,
And-
Palestine, Israel. Okay, yeah, all right. So it's like, who has no idea what's going on in Palestine, Israel? Like, yeah, okay, she doesn't. Like, okay, so she has no idea. She's like, I'm busy.
I think it's very easy to not care about something that like doesn't affect you.
Yeah.
And I think that's like why a lot of like Americans don't care a lot because it doesn't affect them.
Yeah,
But, I mean,
there's
that
a
could
lot of
also be
people
a-
all over the world. I
that
don't
could
care
also
about
be
all
it.
sorts of things because I don't know.
Yeah.
I can't know.
But I mean, that could also apply to like meat and stuff too.
Okay, listen. Hey, first off, can we do? You all were great. Thank you. Can we have a round of applause? Nice. You put No, how was that, by the way? How was it volunteering?
I had a good time.
How was it?
It was fun.
Yeah, how was it for you? Do you feel like you got challenged at some level?